These are stories about my reluctant and courageous journey into understanding and identifying my emotions and what I've learned. I'm super grateful for the questions you ask because they guide me on this fantastic adventure. This week's topic comes from Kim, who wanted to know how to change her self-view, which means this week's topic is about how does identity impact self-view. In this video, I'm going to focus on a time when the identity I held of myself hurt my self-view and what I was capable of. In the next video, I will focus on a time I recognized how I was identifying in a situation and how it was impacting me. Then I'll talk about a time I noticed how I was identifying and I was able to shift my self-view. In the following video, we'll meditate, and then you get to watch the Frittity or the Friday Ditty where I wrap it all up. I get a little poetic and a little nerdy. All the videos will appear in the playlist, How Does Identity Impact Your Self-View? So, if you have a question, like Kim did, comment below or DM me on Instagram. I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself. So, the identity I'm starting with today is, or the question, the question I'm starting with today is, when has your identity been hurtful to your self-view? Well, I can think of many times that, especially after I had a disability, but I can think of times when I was a teenager where I thought I was overweight and therefore people wouldn't like me because I wasn't good, right? So this identity, and I did have some extra weight on me, but when I'd go to the grocery store, I'd try to put on pants, they didn't fit, and each time I did that, I didn't think, oh, these just don't fit, I didn't get the right size. Not a big deal. Instead, I thought, oh, well, I must be eating too much, or I must be doing this too much, because this identity comes from like society and how we interpret what others think about us, right? Like, and it's how we choose to identify. I think I'm trying to remember who said this quote. It's like, I think I am who you think I am. That is where identity is. So I think I am who you think I am. And when I think that way, then I lock myself into this social fabric of how I'm identifying. And it's hard to get through, because a lot of times, at least for me, in those moments, now I can look back and say, oh yeah, I was identifying as not valuable because I was overweight, and that's hurtful, right? But I also believed that that's what society said, right? That's what I saw in all of the ads. That's what I saw when I read magazines. That's what I saw when I watched TV. I didn't see other people with differences, and when they were portrayed a certain way, when I grew up, people that were overweight were portrayed as not taking care of themselves. Not that they were just really cool people with physical challenges in their body that made them overweight. Or maybe there was stress. Instead, there was this belief of, oh, well, you're not doing enough, right? So it mattered how I identified, because that impacted my ability to make friends and to believe that I had value regardless of what my body was doing at that moment in time. And I think that matters, because we don't, like, our brains live in this dark place in our heads, and that's where we interpret the world. And so when I believed that I had no value, then I behaved as if I had no value. And, it was difficult because society also sent that message. We have that power to change that narrative. I know I'm not talking about that in this video. This video is about, why it matters how I identify, but darn it, it's so frustrating. And I really want to be like, no, all these people that have this belief that they're not valuable, that they don't matter, it's not true. So, what were signs that told me my identity mattered? Well, I think that most of the signs that said that my identity mattered were, I don't think I realized it until much later in life, that I had this identity and I had lived by the rules within that identity. And I actually basically took that identity and put it onto my self-view. So I took those rules and I said, oh, well, these apply to me. And what if that's not true? What if those identities that we see out there don't matter? You know, there's a really great short by Misrepresentation. I believe she's on all social medias, Instagram and TikTok and all of that, where she's like, if you believe, you know, that I can't do it, I'm not going to do it. But it also falls on me too. If I believe that I can't do it, then I'm not going to do it. So how do you know, what I'm going to be talking about in the next video is how do you shift? How do you move from, you know, this is what society says, or these are all the messages I'm getting from society, to, no, this is me. And you don't get to decide that, basically, or just find that confidence to be like, no, this is me. You might think that's me, but I know this is me without a matter of doubt. So I would love to hear from you. How has your identity been helpful for your self-view? These videos will be located in the playlist, How Does Identity Impact Your Self-View? I'm Angela, and this is me making sense of myself.